So maybe you're looking for a book to learn some life lessons, right? Now, my name is Marcus. This is Discover Ignite, and today I'm actually doing a book review on a book called Tuesdays with Morrie from Mitch Albom. So hold on, stick tight. Let's get this book review started. So I must say this particular book actually hits home because my father just recently passed of ALS, and one of the main characters in the book is actually diagnosed with ALS. He's a professor, a modest professor, who essentially, has lived this modest life and eventually gets back in touch with his student, right? His student goes on to be the successful sports writer and ends up coming back to visit Morrie. But he doesn't find out about Morrie until he actually hears on the national news that this guy is trying to teach all these life lessons essentially because he's been diagnosed with ALS. So it's essentially what he's learned throughout his life, right? And that's what this book is about. So that's what really drew me to this book, was the fact that Morrie had ALS, and I wanted to really know what kind of life lessons he could teach, right? So it was really intriguing when I picked up this book, and just to see the process that he was going through, right? And how I related to my own personal story. And it was very intriguing, right? Morrie had such a great mentality through the whole thing, and I noticed that with my father too, right? Like, I think you get to a point to where, everything, you just say beauty in everything, right? You really look at those things in life that seem so simple, right? Now, when you're living your day-to-day life, everything's so fast-paced that you don't pay attention to the little things. You really enjoy the beauty in a lot of the simplest things, and Morrie really points that out in the book, right? And he goes all over these different categories of life, whether that's relationships, life in general, and having children. He talks about all these different things and essentially what his opinion is, right? His perspective on life is, and he's essentially teaching one of his old students, some things to really point out, right? Because again, he's this high-profile writer for a sportscast, and he's lost touch with that, and Morrie really tunes him back into that and really makes him focus on really what matters in life, right? You can earn all these things essentially, but you can't take them to the grave with you, right? Now, I know you've probably heard this saying, but when you are at that point, right, when you are essentially knocking on death's door like Morrie is, you really focus on those things, right? And I guess one of the biggest things in the book that I really touched home, right, was this student was asking him, what is like the one life lesson, right? If you could have a cure for ALS, right, would you go back to being healthy? And he said, no, I would not. He was like, this disease has essentially changed me for the rest of my life, right? And well, he asked, essentially, what would you do for one day? If you had one good day being healthy, right, what would you do? And a lot of us would want to do a bunch of different things, right? We would think we would want to go on a trip or, do as many things as possible within that day, right? We try to cram as much things that we've always wanted to do into that day. Where Morrie was very simple about the whole thing, right? He wanted a regular day, right? He wanted a regular day where he woke up, he worked out, got the blood flowing, and he just enjoyed the day, right? He went for walks, he had his breakfast, he read the newspaper, he wanted a normal day. And it really reflects on how simple, some of the simplest things really matter a lot, right, when it comes to that time, and really reflecting on your relationships as well, and understanding how much those relationships really mean when you come to that point in your life. And again, he talks about how he was lucky enough to be able to say his goodbyes, because sometimes you don't have that luxury, right? So that in itself, I think, can be hard, both sides of the spectrum, depending which way you look at it. But I mean, nonetheless, anybody could really get some good value out of this book. It is not a fictional book. It's based off a true story, and it's something that I think a lot of people could get great value out of and get some good life lessons, right? Especially if you are curious about, how to know about what really matters in life, right? And I know we all kind of just seek that. So this book puts a lot of that stuff in perspective for you. As far as like any cons to the book, I, again, didn't really have any cons. I think maybe the beginning of the story was kind of structured a little funny, just the way it was set up, but I mean, you get past that and then it starts really getting into a lot of the life lessons, and you know, he does an interview with Morrie and it goes over these things, right? And a good thing too as well, if you also get the audiobook, at the end of the audiobook, it actually has the recordings of Morrie and his students talking about, you know, some of these life lessons, which is really nice to have, right? Because normally you don't get that kind of stuff in a regular book. So again, if you want to read this book, if you want to grab your hands on this book, I will leave it down in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to hit that like button. Until next time, I will see you guys later.